Live is live. Love is live. And love bring everything alive. Love and wisdom to all. And we pray that all spirits find peace.
Oh, yeah. Need it bad.
It's a new year. It's time for new knowledge, new risings, new thoughts, creations, new creativities.
Renewing of the mind.
A renewing of the mind. Let's go. Hey, this is our new year, designed by our ancestry. Oh, yes. So as our ancestry did, we do. We open in the name of our Salon. Our Salon. It's been a beautiful coming out of winter. Now we're in the beautiful time and season of spring. As the cosmos shift, so shall you. It's time for new ways. So let's pave the way as we rise from the deep south. A lot of people have forgotten about the poor old South.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to speak up for our Southerners. Because us in the deep South, some of us don't have no internet.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yes, in the deep South. I know over thousands is without internet. Easy. And it could easily be into hundreds of thousands. Because we everywhere. And we have been fed. Now we got to look at this now. The deep South hasn't been on the map at all. As far as wealth is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
No one is thinking about the South. And we're going to see and understand what we had to come through. Just to begin our discussion. Of the deep South. Everybody that's from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. It is strictly and targeted as the deep South. So as you have heard of the deep state, okay, synonyms apply. As synonyms applies, the deep South is equivalent to the deep state. So in the deep South, they have named this and done all the monstrosities, the atrocities, as they say in the lower South. They got another name for it. We're going to pull that up. But let's just get a quick fundamental of how this is strictly described and targeted. The deep South or the lower South is a cultural and geographic sub-region of the southern United States. When they say the deep South or the lower South, this term is used to describe the states, we mentioned Louisiana, which were most economically dependent on plantations and slavery. Look at how they mark the history of the South. So to get a group of people living in these states known as Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina to implant slavery in the lower South, do we know the effect that has on all of the Southern people? The Deep South is taught something that others not taught. The Deep South is taught that they are slaves. And their life is economically dependent on slavery. Survival dependent on slavery. So they have grouped and clustered states and have called this the deep state, where you forget about those people in the South. It's a lot of people from the South that has left the South and forgot the South. So we know what comes with slavery. Is that a great education? Are slaves given the best education? So this is in times of considering after the Civil War of the North and the South. So how this became to be the North and the South, this was all by design. The United States designed it this way. We got a lot of stories from the South.
Hard.
When you're talking the lack of and deprived, but some way we still thrive. The South is the last to get anything except slavery. They the first in line. And in these states is recorded, documented, institutionalized slavery. And what helped create such a predicament? If it's by design, then we're talking about, then it has to have an enclosure. You know, a building is a design, and a building has an enclosement. So when you have an enclosement, that's a container. So you need a container to contain all your lower self activity. So when you hear the Holy Prophet traveled through the South, we're talking about these conditions. How did this begin? Well, we need to get familiar with something in the South. It ain't nowhere else in the United States, only in the southern parts of the United States. So we need to let this word be known. We can tell you without looking it up. In the South, we knew about it before internet. was even in existence. So when we're talking about a design, this is what it's called, the Bible Belt. Have we heard of the phrase Bible Belt? Okay. This is how the decline of the South happened. We know. So we're going to show what the Bible Belt is. From their standpoint, they describe it as the Bible Belt is a region in the southern United States and parts of the Midwest, particularly Missouri, where evangelical Protestantism has a significant social and cultural influence. This area is characterized by socially conservative Protestant Christianity. So Bible Belt is characterized by Christianity. So in the South, we have our people scattered amongst different branches and denominations of Christianity. Christianity is unnatural for us. This was designed by those group of people, Cain. This is also included with our connecting lesson, the Mayflower spirits. Christianity has a large role into the plantation and to the slavery in the Deep South. Now we see Christianity was used as a social influence. What they say, rub elbows with the naturals. See, they want to be the natural, so what they doing is start playing native, calling themselves Americans. See, when we the naturals, when you come to the Deep South, you will see the naturals, untinked. These the things that have yet barely been modified. In the Deep South, they just barely got clothes on their back. In the Deep South, it ain't no extravagant clothing as you seeing on your TV. Your TV is like deja vu for the wealthy. But in the Deep South, we had to cut off the lawnmowers. We had to jump off the tractors. We had to sit down the fishing rods. We had to sit down the beauties of life to see what's going on here. Because these ways that people are influencing us by is affecting our way of being, our well-being. So we have been poorly educated. They was hoping not no one in the South can ever stop the pattern that was put in the South to keep them enslaved. So they thought we'll never pick up a book. They thought we'll never have any scholars. They thought anything of value was not to be ever looked towards coming out of the Deep South. Some of you, now we must say, we're going to read on just a little bit more. The Bible Belt, or not just yet, Protestant Christianity. This plays a strong role in societal values, voting patterns. Look how our families are influenced to vote. Voting is a part of Christianity. The values of the Deep South has been deeply rooted into mental slavery. And the South feel it the worst. Church attendance. There's churches everywhere in the South.
Oh my goodness.
More churches in the South than Hills and Beverly.
It is.
We see more churches than almost trees when you see in the city of the South. So now we have to ask ourselves, these patterns do sound familiar. A heavy attendance of church.
Yep.
A heavy talk of voting or placing someone in power. And society values that don't go in line with your values in your home. See, this was pushed and shoved all on us. As they say, as above, it came below. So as the North have mastered what they have mastered and put on their side of the people, it started trickling down. And what they say, those at the bottom get all the way. Oh, we got the sayings for days in the South. See, we talking in the South is where you get the real life. But it's confused with this societal and cultural influence from Christianity. So in the South, you will find more people saying they are Christians now than you will find more cows in the South. And this comes from the Deep South school system. The Deep South school system is all included within the Bible Belt. This is a certain way that we call earlier in our previous lessons the indoctrination. So this is how the Southerners was getting now indoctrinated. So now the South can be like the North. This is where your cities of the South come from. People in the South didn't have cities. It was all agriculture. Right. You had to leave the South and go to the North. Right. And in the North was no agriculture at all. Right. It was an industrial revolution. Buildings of unnatural structure. And this was fit and suitable for higher way of life. But this was a higher upscale of slavery. It was already, slavery was mentalized in the North. While the South was still physical, but it was becoming more and more mental as the North grew in its industry, in its big metals. And these things started coming down and trickling down to the South. So now we see cities in the South. This wasn't once before. Christianity is building in our southern region, and they've been doing it since they landed, having us confused that they was moving in the name of the Lord. See, and this is how it all got mixed. I don't know about others, but in the South, we were showed a white image. The white image is the sign of the North. So the South was affected by everything that is North. And what is North is considered West and East. So South weighs the burden of the West, of the East, and of the North. When we look at wealth versus poor, you find more wealth from the West, from the North, and from the East. The South is still poor than all regions. And if anyone make it out of the South, they leave the South. And they go live in the West, the North, or the East. The Bible Belt typically includes states such as North Carolina, Mississippi, South Carolina, Arkansas, Louisiana, Georgia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Alabama. Yep, with definitions extending to even Texas, Kentucky, and Utah. So this have created a false belief in the mind of the South. So all of this is carrying on unlawfully due to the false beliefs that is buried in the mind of the Southerner. Now the Southerners want to get TVs, cars, many homes. What they see if they got and own a TV. See, and we say that this is moving on up. Or is it keeping up with the Joneses? Keeping up with the North. Keeping up with the falsehood. All these things weren't sync to sync. All these things we have to know is one collective issue. See, and now that the South, they always said that the South was what? Slow. So they thought the Southern, they thought we'll never catch on. We may talk slow, but we ain't slow. Some of your fastest come out of the South.
Correct.
Hey. Now we have to understand that if you live in the regions of the South, if anyone lived in the regions of the South, the world needs you. The whole world have lost their identity. And once you come out of the false beliefs of Christianity, you the only that can help the entire world. The entire world is bombarded by false beliefs, but they are heavily mentalized into mental slavery where it's not even apparent and it goes unrecognized. It's moving too fast for them to catch it. So now they need the good old people from the South who can slow things down, who can take speed and break it down. And now we need real-time guidance, real-time life, real-time situations. And so now the South, you up. When the spring rise, that's the rise of the unleavened. Those that were left behind, those that were targeted to be fit, to be educated for slavery, to be slaves under Christianity. They made a story about us, y'all. There you go. You see it. That was about you right there. 12 years a slave. That was about the Deep South, how they educated you. How many years you went to school? 12 years. Slave represents the Deep South. They designed a system that by the end of 12 years in this system, you will be fit for a slave. It said that you will be a slave. And they talking about you will be a slave to their religions. Christianity and the other Christianity. But we have to understand the Bible Belt is the why and the reason to why they enslaved the South. Tricked you with the beliefs instead of giving you the science belief, they got you to worship their beliefs. And this is where that's all got to be removed from those in the South. They don't have a heavy lifestyle that's built into a system of mental slavery. But if you keep watching those in mental slavery, you're going to be in mental slavery. See, it starts off mentally and then it ends as a physical result. You a slave. Now what you work for ain't. It'll be exactly what was never taught in the land of the South. In all the lands of the South, knowledge of self was never taught. The Bible Belt made sure of that. So when the South birthed their own, the prophecy is fulfilled. we must understand the power that the Deep South holds. If just the removal of false beliefs about your own self-identity, because this is what has corrupted your self-identity. It don't matter if you're from the South, how much money you got. It don't matter from the South how many cars you got. It don't matter from the South how many churches you done went to. What matters in the South is your morals. What matters in the South is your character. These things alone have kept us till we can find our own. And most people is not looking, if they in a status of wealth, they're not looking nowhere near the South, except as an economic advantage because of your poorly educational school in Deep South, deep state system. Everybody else already hopped on the boat. If we don't know yet, everybody else done already hopped on the boat. It's the South that's still on the land. It's the South that's still planting in the land. It's the South where they still barefoot on the land. The naturals is the only one who can save the state of the United States. We should not have to know if people was taught to become slaves by people who they call slave holders, then we know in thought alone they do not have our best interest. So this is all we had before the return of our glory. The religions brought by the slaveholders to hold and make a slave. This is why Christianity has been so effective. Now you got pure, poor, innocent souls who have been infected in their mind by false beliefs, false doctrines, that they would die for Christ, not knowing its origins, but just through feeling of love. So that connection of love that they attributed and assigned to Christ was for the Deep South belief. There's no other believers in the world except those in the Deep South. there has been false believers by way of these false doctrines, which have given others the ability to wear a costume of your belief. So now you believed in God even before you had to believe in God. In the deep south. But now you got to believe in God, and now you got to believe in God as Christ. This is what's making one a slave. Listen to the narrative of 12 years a slave. What they called him, Northup, Solomon Northup. That was the main character name now. Do we know what Solomon means? We talking about the soul of man. This narrative of 12 years a slave is how you make the soul of man a slave. Now this, all people can be fit for slavery, made into a slave by ignoring what is being said right now. There is a design already designed that you can just walk into like a business in the city. Has any of these people reached back and helped you in the South? See, this is why. There's false beliefs known as movies going around that we allow to depict your character and behavior as this is who you are. After Solomon, Noah. The biggest joke and the biggest scam as a false belief they gave was that North was up. You know, they said if you tell a lie long enough, they'll believe it. Oh, yes. This is what we say in the South. Yes. So they told us up was down long enough where we believed it. Now we think north is up because they said it so much. Then they designed it where things are positioned, and when things are above, that's the north position. All this is Bible Belt. Bible Belt slavery, mental slavery. North up. So you already know he effed up. Because south is up and north is down. So he gave this person called a black man a reverse psychology. A reverse psychology is a set of false beliefs to have faith in and to worship. Simple as that. So when you take on the simple state of saying you a black man, do you know what this does? This takes you out of the South and puts you into the North. This takes you out of the natural and puts you in the unnatural. See, these are the games of the North. See, the Mayflower spirits, they split into two groups, the North and the South. So any formality that's not created by your ancestors, know that it's a United States game. And I ain't seen United States yet hold a family reunion. So we talking about these is not no natural people. See, and this is what all is trickling down for the North. They coming out with all type of renames. They remixing identities. So now, if we didn't raise our own, birth our own, and tell our own, we would never be able to rise, because everything that's coming from the North, trickling down, is a well-built lie. This stuff is well built. A black man who was born free in New York State, that's the North, details himself being tricked to go to Washington, D.C., where he was kidnapped and sold into slavery in the Deep South. See, and this is how you get the narrative of what it was like in the South. See, and these people making these movies are not from the South. They have no connection to any feeling that a Southerner has. Making us deny, if we believe in their false beliefs, our own to pick up theirs. Deny ourselves to adopt others. Leave our culture to join their values. To say we got a weaker soul and they have a greater spirit. See, these are the games that's being played through this 12 years of slave. They thought they can trick the divine. See, so just like they sent him to the South, guess what happened? They sent people to America to play us. All your people that you think is so popping and so hot as stars and celebrities, not 8 out of 10 times, they not a natural. They ain't a natural. They don't have a grandma or a great grandma. They don't know where they stay. These people have been propped here and designed into a whole formulation to make us perceive that there's an advancement going on in the world. How can you fall and be making progress at the same time? How can you, what we're saying, people have came to our land and they have repopulated themselves and beliefs from themselves as a system of thinking into all school systems of the Deep South to produce us as the upholders of it all. See, once it breaks in the South, it all goes kaboom. They don't tell you the most needed. That's why you are looked and ignored the most. because it's something about the people of the Deep South. See, the South is really the top. But they describe it as the low. Remember, reverse psychology. So as long as we can think and perceive false beliefs, the matrix continues. This is a big topic at hand. This is what you have opposite of KOS. If you don't have KOS, then you will be a slave. That's from the Deep South. Everywhere around you is pre-designs and templates, helping you to walk through your whole life ignorant. I mean, they got this stuff well designed in the United States and for the Deep South, for you to stay asleep your whole life. They have built paths that's take retirement plus retirement plus a 30-year mortgage is your entire life almost. And then you got to work to get it. And we think that this is life. Life is not rolled out like a red carpet for you. Today you go to work as a 9 to 5. Tomorrow you go to 9. That was never a Southern thing. All that is the plantation, and all that is linking you to slavery. So much. And this is the most important, that if you can't wake up from this understanding, because you experienced, so you know it's true. You know what you didn't have, and you know what's in the city. These people do not want you to understand who you are, your natural identity. Now they got distractions today. Why you think the Super Bowl was in New Orleans? That's Louisiana. They came to knock the South back asleep. They not like us. Who y'all think they are speaking to? The South is the only ones that no one's like. This is why the Super Bowl was in the South. This past Super Bowl. See, but the sleeping slave is asleep. Only way you get out of it as a sleeping slave in the South is erasing yourself. You yourself have to do this. Have to erase the false beliefs and concepts from Christianity that has been illegally, unlawfully placed there. The battle now is not with self. The battle is with your own mind. Your mind has been through a process called 12 years a slave. You got to deal with that. That means you was educated, and everything in your mind could be coming from that 12 years of slavery, not from the knowledge of self. You got to do that double times. It's called balance. If you was knocked in the head for 12 years with the education of a slave, then you can say at least for 12 years, you got to re-alive yourself with the knowledge of self. And if you really mean business, more years than you was a slave being educated. Remember, all of us have a body. What makes a slave is what's in the slave's thinking. The slave converts thinking into actions. So all you have to do is plant thoughts into their thinking so they can convert their own thinking into your action. And this is what Christianity has beautifully laid out. Sleeping sleeping spirits. So they have pumped up TV now. So now everybody almost have a TV in their house. In the South, this wasn't a thing before. Everybody didn't have a TV. Some didn't know what a TV was. Could y'all believe that? See, there's people in the world on the internet that can't believe that. See, and that,
as a witness, what you just said, we were the only one that had a TV in this community. Only one. And everybody would come out of the lane and watch TV with us. In other areas, they didn't have no TV. Around them Crawfords and all. And you a living witness.
plenty of stories from the South. Plenty of stories from the South.
Oh yeah, true story.
See, everybody else got false stories. See, these are the stories of how before the induction into a slave, you was free. Slavery came through our own thoughts. And if we had went to school, then we had other thoughts placed into our thinking about our own nature. So in your nature as a South, you think you're born in sin. See, that's a false belief that has to be eliminated. And that has to be eliminated by you understanding self-knowledge. So this is the thing of the South. Since we have been Bible belt-alized, as they say, get your belt.
Yeah.
They got the Bible belt and beat the mind. Beat certain thoughts into the mind, so you will think a specific way, so you will produce a specific result. And if you have not read the Bible from cover to cover, then you will understand why it's called the Bible Belt. Because the rules of the Bible applies to all areas of the Bible Belt. Why you think it's happening? It's called the Bible Belt. If you from the South, a belt, you know what a belt is. Or you know what a switch is. And you know definitely what a Bible is. So now put those two together. If you wasn't doing what was in the Bible or acting from the behavior like those in the Bible, then you was beat with the belt. And this is how you made a slave. You have to change his thinking, beat thoughts into him to now drive them into a whole, this is what has been patternized as legal and lawful as how to treat people, men and women. No man, no woman would ever want to be treated like a single slave. And this is the introduction to who you are. In the South, they literally tell you that you are a slave in their schooling system. These people literally tell you you're a slave. You was born. They even say you was born from slaves. This is the narrative of the people of the South. That they was born from slaves. This is what they were telling Southerners. Y'all was born from slaves. Slaves that came from Africa. The hell? We don't know what no African is. Why did they use the word Africa? And why did they use it in association with slavery? Yeah. Slaves in Africa, that it seems to go together. We naturally not in Africa. How you unnaturally call someone African? He must be from Africa. That would common sense would tell the Southerner, you from Africa then. We don't know no Africa. How are we going to think about something that don't exist to us? Tell me that. How are you going to think about something that don't exist? We ain't never thought we were from Africa. We was told. And like we said, you're told so many times, you believe it. Then they wrote history books to reinforce that you was a slave. They didn't say any of these books was for them. They said these was history books. History from them. See, in the South, they didn't want us to, we come from a long line of torture, seeing torture, being tortured, shown images. It ain't even, a lot of it wasn't even true, shown images. They described and painted. That's why this stuff is dangerous. As I say, Books is something we didn't live by in the South. We didn't know a book from a Bible, and we didn't know a Bible was a book. Remember, we really lived this stuff, so we lived it, not read about people who lived it. That was them. But they traded places like the atlas that you have today. See, all this is acting, y'all. A whole large society is acting against the South. People have moved to the North and forgot they from the South. All your cool people is from the South. The people who come here that never seen a Southern, they know. That's why they tell you ain't nothing like Southern hospitality. The South, see, they ain't know. See, this is what the taste was. Where they say the cool people was. So they had to come into the territory of the South and start giving us books to start making us a slave. So this happened for 12 years. This movie, guess what happened? It came out of a book. The movie came out of a book. It's books that have, and if you read the Bible from cover to cover, you will know why it's called the Bible Belt. The Bible condones, the Bible accepts, the Bible loves slavery.
Yes, indeed.
It agrees with slavery.
Sure does. Slave obey your master.
So this is how King James became king of the slaves, his slaves.
Right on.
And this was a large design by a few to overthrow the minds of the many. See, all they needed to do was use the mind. That's why they made sure when they text came in front of our eyes, it excluded the soul. And when text that was concerning God came in front of our eyes, it was telling the soul to give all his worship to God. So these things played on our psyche, our mind. And now we have to understand what is really going on. Now they're moving it to an advanced level of slavery. And the South is primary targets. Now that if they can get more technology to come into the South, they got the whole world. The South is the last borders for a technological unleashment. Technology take over agriculture. Where there's no more land, it's just technology now. Standing like towers, taking the place of trees. Trees missing, and they're going to be replaced with towers. See, this is how you make what the North has made as a final Babylon. And so now you better know when you got two sides from one devil. So now people who are in charge, they are in charge to input you into slavery. So they are in charge to make sure that human slavery is upgraded to its highest form of slavery, which is technology, which is metamorphing into smart technology. See, it just started with the big machines and the steel mills. Now it's going to smart technology. You're going to have smart front doors, smart back doors, smart appliances. All of them is going to be centered from the hub of your smartphone. Within your smartphone is all the data you put into it about you. So in the South, it's a major push for technology to supersede and grow phenomenally above our heads. So this is the rise of the South at the same time, because as it was prophesied, the South shall rise. And when the South rise, all the world should know. So in the South, it's no more of the old view. The slaveholders' view. This is what our divine creator has given us. And we should be so thankful. To be able to identify with your own true identity and not some made up humbo jumbo. These are their identities, not ours. These are their books, not our. So from the deep pressure of all heavy burdens, the South had to rise through all the muck. Meaning now the South, we had to become the scholars. Only truth believers can become the best scholars. And so now the South reemerges through its educational torture to divine excellence. By way of a certain way. Only by a certain way can the deep, deep South, with the goals in their mouth, rise and rise to the occasion. through the Father, as the South was known to call the Creator, the Father, the Father and I are one.
Speaking of Bible Belt, that goes to show you that everybody from the north to the south, and especially in the deep south, the only book that they possess in their house that had holy book on it was a Bible. The only book. And I used to always ask myself this question: did Jesus Christ walk and carry the Bible? Even they show you in movies and all, but he did not have no Bible. But that goes to show you how tricky Dick is ruling and governing the people out of mind, like you said. And it's just a funny thing that how the slave master would have a Bible, and then once upon a time the Negro couldn't even have a book. He wasn't even allowed to read or write. And we ought to take all this in consideration. But yet we ignore all the things that been done to us in the past. Now, all we do is accept whatever he brings to us. And we hit fast forward today. Who making all the decisions? The so-called white folks. And who abide by? The so-called black folks. And like you said, if you weren't born in Africa, how can you be calling Africa? But they put that entirely African American. I get the flow. We messed up in the head.
Mm-hmm. And now it's either what they say, the way or the highway.
Oh, the highway. I've been told that on the job by a white man.
Hey, that's the certain way. The
His
way
or the highway.
or the highway. See, the Southian, they have to come on home to the way. It's why we have our Sufian. See, we Sioux fight.
The true way. The only way.
See, as we come into our true nature, called knowledge of self-knowledge. This is different than 12 years of slavery. This is the where we used to say the grass is greener on the other side. This is that greener grass. It's amazing on the other side, that's what people want. Not what we want for ourselves. On the other side is what people want for us. So we have a large system of false beliefs filed into our mind that we have to self-inspect, such as born in sin. You born to be poor. ordained by God to be poor. Now, this is some deep stuff. This is what makes it crimes on the greatest level. And then on the other hand, it shows that we had self-illiteracy. And once you self-illiterate, you can tell a self anything. And that's what the South is the rise of the self-literates. See, they wanted us illiterate, so we had no education and we would have never found the way out. Because you're going to have to use your mind.
That's right.
And what your mind is on determines everything.
Right on.
So we don't know we've been played by those who know the game. The true game is to know who you are. If you wasn't important, then they would have just gave you who you are. You the most important, so they couldn't give you who you are. For you, you had to figure it out. You had to crawl in the dark to find the opening of light. Everybody else was given reparation, restitution, reinstituted lands, grants, help, aid, assistance, and all type of forms. But if you come today, you still see. So the South, as they said in their history books, why they had a reconstruction. Why did they have to reconstruct the South? The South was great, so they had to reconstruct it so we'll think not so great. And all these is their views. And then when they get us to think their views, it becomes not so good for us.
Right on. Right on.
To think not like yourself has caused us all these issues that we facing today that will be passed on down the line. And so now we see in the South, our children now picking up guns according to this foolishness.
That's right.
That's happening in the world. So we know it's a major poison being planted So now we have to know false beliefs are poisons. So now we are rising from self-illiterate to self-knowledge. Remember, you couldn't read or write.
That's right.
You were killed, beat, or murdered.
That's right.
Family murder.
Just for that.
Just for that reason.
That ain't
So we're talking about why the South. It's something strong and mighty in the South. Strong and mighty in the South. You see, this is the hardest place to conquer. Is the South.
Crow.
So now they want to use technology to influence us to culturally murder ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
See, they can't defeat us, so now they need us to defeat ourselves
Right.
through the illusion of self-destruction.
Yeah, right.
And that's what false beliefs from Christianity has poisoned our minds with. That we don't look at each other as we're supposed to look at each other. We look with the white man consciousness instead of with self-knowledge. The white spirits have had their time. The white man's spirits have had their time. We could say they had all the time in the world to tell us the truth.
That's right. We'll do it. Still today.
Had all the time to tell us the truth. Just be truthful is what we was asking. Couldn't even do that. We ain't even asked for nothing yet. We just want the truth. If you can't tell the truth to us, tell the truth to our children. They can't do either.
Can't do that either.
So now we at a time where we do it ourselves.
Right.
We tell ourselves who we are. We already been treated for over 200 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
And we didn't reject what they gave us.
Swallow the good blind and see.
And since we accepted what they gave us, look where we at. We used to say that we can do bad by ourselves.
And since he gave us his books and his way of life, and we have studied it and read it wholeheartedly, and in his book he translated, slave, obey your master. So my point, and to the people who listening, we ain't benefit from none of the things that he have taught us,
At all.
gave us, and now all the university playing, and they got March Madness, and that's all it is. Ignorance in full bloom. We shouldn't be mad, we should be glad.
Mm-hmm.
But they said March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Say, why March? See, this is our holy month, and they talking about it's a month of madness. See, and this is what we're talking about here. These people, they don't want the South to come on up. But they can't stop what the divine creator created. See, the truth can be told in the breath.
Yes, sir.
But a lie, you're going to need it over and over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the truth expel it in a breath. It's how what we call the holy breath. See, that holy breath them swept into the south and breathed in. And now what we have to do is understand. All this makes sense. And another false belief is they are the chosen people.
Yeah. Another lie.
This is why you let them do what they do.
Right on.
You think because they brought you the Bible that the Bible was the chosen book. The people who brought you the Bible ain't the chosen people.
Right on. Only book.
That's just something.
The only holy book, but they got many books of fiction that everybody reads. Just look at the game.
Look at the game.
Look at the game.
And guess what's the Greek word for book? Guess what the Mayflower spirits call book? Bible.
Look at that.
That's a Greek word. Bible. So all this time, when it comes to truth, they've been speaking Babel.
Yeah.
And now they gave us the Babel to speak.
My goodness.
And that's why our own lives now don't make any sense. Because Babel is their language of their day.
Yeah.
Meaning it has no meaning.
Look at it.
Deception.
One deep.
But at least we do find out that the only power that we did give them was our own belief.
That's right.
And we can take belief back.
Back. Jumping jack.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
Yes, we can take belief back.
Jumping jack.
That's it.
And that's what we have to do.
That's what we got. That's what we got to do from the Lord right there. Take your belief back. You done gave it to him.
Mm-hmm. Control your mind. That's what they want to do.
And yes, that's the point that has hurt us the most.
Mm-hmm.
Through his way now, we fear our own self.
Yeah.
He done told us, fear God so much.
Yeah, fear him.
That in his text, it's to fear God.
Mm-hmm.
In our way, God is self.
That's right.
So they telling us to fear self.
Right on.
So every time you hear fear God, you hear fear self, and it's making you weaker and weaker to the point where you weaken by creation. Seeing we had no remnant, we had no connection with creation as in the form of our creator. We had connection with our creator.
Right on.
And that gave us connection to all creation.
Right on. That's it.
And this is what they wanted to do to the people of the South. Weaken them.
Yep.
Remember, like especially when they build prison, like they say, weaken his spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure he weak.
That's right.
They say if you can't kill him in the mind, kill him in the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That jail, that prison is to kill your spirit.
That's correct, and that's what it'll do. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to read this in the
Please, yeah.
Circle 7
Mm-hmm.
by our divine prophet Drew Ali.
Mm-hmm.
The 8th chapter, 14th verse, it said, assist the poor and help the weak. Do harm to none. We're talking about the poor and the weak.
Mm-hmm.
And cover not what is not yours. And they do just the opposite. You go in all these major cities and you will find many poor, many weak. And they have, and the reason for their poor and their weakness because the robber had robbed. They've been robbed. Robbed of knowledge of self. And the soulless have stolen their soul by contaminating their mind. And that's why they wrote in the book of James, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, and that's why the trap was set. How you get it from?
The trap was set. Duality was set in place.
Set in place.
To duel. And that was a word of the cowboys, to duel, a duel.
Doable.
Now that same thought is carrying us into the same time when we saying verses.
Yes, indeed. And think about this, so that's why right now Capitol Hill would donate more money to the military than anything else. That's their do.
Yeah.
That's their do. Food and clothing and houses. No, they get less. The man with the guns get the most money.
Get the most. Get the most. Get the most.
It's all about killing and stealing and imperialism.
Mm-hmm. All in someone else's name.
In someone else's name.
See, through claim, the white spirits,
Mm-hmm.
through claim,
Mm-hmm.
has claimed it all.
Yeah.
But in character, can't be none of what they claim.
That's right. Practice what you preach.
They can't practice what they preach.
Mm.
So we know at the core of it all,
Yeah.
love ain't in their bone.
Oh.
They ain't even got it in their bone.
Oh no. Ain't no love.
So we know it ain't in the heart.
Ain't no love. I just read about
It ain't even in the bone.
I just read about a sister poor in the week.
Right. And they look the other way.
They're right over me.
They ignore the poor
Yeah.
and inflate
Yeah. look where y'all bear witness when y'all was in Cali. Y'all seen all the folks and brought pictures back and showed it.
That go to West, yep. The West, rich, wealthy, nothing but wealth around, and got people poor. Intentionally.
Intentional.
While the people who got them poor is coveting
Yeah. What I just said.
the people's property.
That's right.
See the white,
Not what they not true.
yeah, see the white spirits have coveted what's not theirs.
Theirs. Right on. Mm-hmm. Come on with it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let's ask a question: do they do harm to none?
Oh, they harm the
It
whole-
say to none.
Man, they don't only harm they harm the whole world.
It is say,
Everywhere they go,
say the whole
it's
world.
bloodshed.
And they do it in the name of religion.
Sure do. All these Christians dropping these bombs.
This is what the South has caught on to now.
Yeah.
That they didn't want us to catch on to. In the name of religion, they carry out business and war.
That's correct.
All their business is in the name of religion.
That's correct.
All of their war is in the name of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't even back the character of the good side of it.
That's right.
They inhabit and embody the bad side.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that clear as day of religion. They inhabit the bad side.
It don't take a lot of sense to see that.
In the South, we say we can see from a mile away.
Yeah. So my next question would be, what's up with all the churches? Or is it about truth or about business? Or you might as well say the churches ain't nothing but a business.
There we go.
Because
In the name.
ain't nobody profiting from, they got over 5,000 here in Lowndes County. I said 5,000.
I'm glad you said that.
Right here in Lowndes County.
They
And
are
look
going to get them in trouble. They are going to get them in trouble. You right. Over 5,000. That's in one county.
One county.
In the deep South.
The deep South.
So let's look. AI, we finna get them in trouble now. I thank you, great elder, for being a voice of truth. Let's look what we got now. The deep South is home to a diverse range of Protestant denominations, including Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterian, the Presbyterian churches. The Southern Baptist Convention alone comprises over 47,000 individual churches in the region. That's just one denomination. 47,000.
I got to get to my feet.
And ain't no salvation. 47 sound like it's a business.
It's a business.
Ain't no, it's some money being made and no souls being saved.
And think about this too. Ain't no taxes at the church house.
No taxes.
But you go to Walmart, Family Dollar, the Dollar Tree, the Dollar Store.
You name it, it's tax. Now,
you tell me that ain't business.
Yes.
You tell me that ain't business. Maybe that's why they put on the money in God we trust.
No,
Because it's all about the dollar bill and the tax. The dollars and the coins.
That's it. That's it.
Think on there.
That's it. So we know. See, that was just that region. So if it's how many denominations?
Good goodness. Goodness alive, you can't count them all. You can't count them all.
All in Christianity.
You can't count them all.
Yeah, they can't even count them all.
You can't count them all.
They done lost count. I'm telling you at this point.
People don't even
Yeah,
know
they
how to
can't
teach
even-
people up in the pulpit, calling themselves opening up a church and starting a church. You know it ain't nothing about business.
Right.
They
That's
don't
it.
even know what they're talking about.
That's it. This is how the world was, how we bring it closely home into the South to see how the world was tricked and deceived.
Look at that.
See, all this is brought to the South. This is why the families
Look at that.
have different beliefs because they are part of different churches.
Ooh, look at that.
See, and churches are facilitating as people communities
That's right.
when that's not from us. See, our community, what they would call a state today, we call the community. All our help came from within the community, not from outside of the community.
That sounds like philosophy going on.
Now they done turned our community into churches.
Sure.
That's why we can see over 47,000 churches in Baptists alone, with several other denominations. So it's over millions. Approximately over 4, we're going to get AI in trouble, approximately over 4 million churches.
Good goodness alive, and all this sin going on in America.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
And all these souls being lost in America.
It could be no possibly way that sin can be on earth with 4 million churches.
It ain't about truth. We do know that.
Ain't no way falsehood, evil could be spreading
That's right.
if it's 4 million churches. If
That's
there's evil and 4 million churches at the same time, that means the churches are the evil.
That's correct. That's where the corruption going on at.
What they say, love and evil can't be side by side. So church and evil seem to be side by side.
It is.
The church holds the bad side of things. The devil got to get paid. For you to be saved, you paying the devil. See, so we're talking about Southern psychology. They said we were saved if we pay into the church.
And another thing I'd like to point out is that we got people leaving the so-called black church and moving their membership over to the so-called white church. And we know for a fact that the white was doing the lynching, the hanging. And we still go whatever, and they just show you just how bad our mind have become. That don't make no sense to me to go move your membership from a black church and go join the white church. What's wrong with the black church? Look how sick in the head you are. I get it from.
What? We found 41,000 Christian denominations as a number.
41.
That is a lot. That's like one body with 41,000
I
total.
ain't know that many denominations. 41,000.
And all these are different beliefs multiplied, creating a conscious virus.
Is that the? I hope that's the right belief because there can be just like one truth. You better get rid of all these beliefs because that's falsehood.
In the deep south, this is what's happening. Everywhere you look around, it's churches. You in a church, you paying into a church, and you ain't getting nothing but feel good prosperity preaching.
Mm-hmm. My.
No self-knowledge. 4 million churches uphold and evil is spread. This is a worldwide business.
It is. That's all it is.
Using profits for profit.
That's all that is.
Using our profits for profits.
Mm-hmm.
Lying to their own to give them a place.
45,000 denominations.
That's stuff is a lot. That's a lot.
I ain't know what that is. In the 4 million churches.
Yeah, that is a shame.
That should tell you all about what they preaching and what they teaching.
That's why taking the belief back is important. And now you can use this as your benefit.
Yeah.
Since all this falsehood have spread, now the lie is easily to be known. How many mosques in the world?
Ooh, I wrote that down and I'm gonna spread the news. You ain't getting no way. You need to close the door. That's why I said if I had my way, but I don't have my way. I'll put a padlock.
It don't exist.
On all the churches.
Mm-hmm.
And stop this foolishness.
I'm just trying to, because I'm the one that got roles. It don't. Oh, to your question now, it says to many the Muslim denominations. It says there are many different sects of Wikipedia, Sunni and Shia, but you don't have.
But see, AI ain't connected too much with Islam, so that's why you ain't gonna find a whole lot on that because they
and whatever it is
right in the center of Christianity.
Right, and like I say, you gotta be self-literate in these times. I don't like this reporting. It's like, to me, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 denominations. The major branches of Islam.
Yeah, you like that down,
And all this is fake.
Yeah.
But you gotta be really self-enlightened to know how.
That's right.
This is hand down or hand me down beliefs, giving you something made up that'll make you feel comfortable in the world because you can look out and see it.
Yeah.
But as far as you having a nature and an inner knowing, this ain't gonna do it. And these are things that have hindered our people. Because these are the false names. But like I said, I'm seeing this. Only certain people can arise at these points. The sleeping souls are asleep. The white spirits took them over.
Yep. Conquer them.
And so it just is what it is at this point for myself. Now I'm personally speaking now. That it is for where you at. You know what you at. Because everybody has been contaminated.
That's right.
And if you ain't done the work on self-knowledge,
yeah. Because
that's between you and your creator.
That's right. And we know this for a fact, because when we hear others giving a greeting of peace, they already contaminated.
Right. It's been nothing but contamination from the way. And it's all in our thinking.
Yeah.
And that's the first place you got to clean up, and nobody can clean that up for no one else.
Yeah, that's right.
So self has to clean its own thinking. And so that's where it becomes how important it is to you.
Like you said, men learn it well, and they put it in their heart, and they walk around with it, and they think they have the truth. But they don't. They're far from the truth.
Right. Right. That's just how clever it is for them. But in truth, that's in one breath. All this do not need to be told. All this in the name of religion. For the truth that's in one breath. That don't, all them lies don't have to be told. You came from God.
Thank you.
This is the truth in one breath. You yourself came from God. And that's the big cover up. That's the new age of light, of wisdom, that we all should have. We're supposed to be moving off that wisdom. The people ought to be moving off that wisdom. The light of wisdom. The new rise of spring is the rise of a new age of light through wisdom. So with that being said, love and wisdom. Peace and love. As-salam, as-salam. All Wadu. All Sufyan American.